I am looking for a little bit of a pullback in Bitcoin. I always find these things fascinating because when most people look at charts, they think it's just chaos, right? It's ups, downs, lefts, rights, whatever it is. But in reality, if you take a look at the lows in October of 2023 and you connect it to the exact low of January 2024, that line, there's a parallel you can bring up, and it literally gave us the high here before this consolidation move, the high of the spot ETF approval. Now, it doesn't mean that every time you do, eventually you can break out of it and go to the upside.
In this video, Gareth will share his insights into a captivating technical analysis approach he used to forecast key highs and lows in the Bitcoin chart. He'll discuss why he foresees a potential Bitcoin pullback in the short term but maintains a neutral to positive stance in the long term. Gareth will also analyze the Ethereum chart, particularly focusing on the breakout above the upward channel that has persisted since 2022, and examine whether this indicates a shift in money from Bitcoin to Ethereum and other altcoins. Additionally, he'll delve into an assessment of the economic factors influencing the crypto markets, such as inflation, retail sales, stock market valuation, and meme stocks. Finally, Gareth will discuss his expectations for the upcoming earnings reports of Walmart and Home Depot. Join Gareth in this interview as he delves into these topics and more. Before we continue with the rest of the video, do check out daily 5-minute crypto newsletter with all the latest crypto and Bitcoin news. It's a fantastic analysis of on-chain crypto data and breakdowns, and the best part is it's absolutely free. They'll cover expert predictions, breakdowns of on-chain crypto data, and any breaking news you need to know, all in a nutshell. Click the first link in the description and enter your email to join over 50,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now.
Couple things here. So if we just jump over to this chart, and this is the Bitcoin chart, right? I always find these things fascinating because when most people look at charts, they think it's just chaos, right? It's ups, downs, lefts, rights, whatever it is. But in reality, if you take a look at the lows in October of 2023 and you connect it to the exact low of January 2024, that line, there's a parallel you can bring up, and it literally gave us the high here before this consolidation move, the high of the spot ETF approval, and then also the recent high right here. So just as a technician, and again, this is purely data driven, is that I look at that and I say, okay, well, in general, we pull back off of these lines. Now, it doesn't mean that every time you do, eventually you can break out of it and go to the upside. I think we were talking about just before we started the show that, ultimately you can go up for longer periods than anyone expects, to be honest, before you get any sort of corrective move. So right now, again, I am looking for a little bit of a pullback in Bitcoin. I don't know how deep it's going to be. The pivot point that I'm going to watch for is the previous high. So I always rotate back to the previous level that we were ejected from. In this case, it's the 49,000 level right here where the spot ETF was approved. I think as long as we stay above this 49, then I think you look at it and say, okay, neutral to positive bias. Yeah, we could pull back a little off this trend line. But if we were to break below 49 and essentially have a failed breakout, that, for me at least, would be where I would start to say, okay, this could turn out to be a bigger move to the downside. Let me just bring up the dominance chart on mine and just see. I just have some old trend lines that I've been watching. It's kind of interesting here because, again, I don't even know if I've looked at this chart since we talked a week ago. And you can see the lines I had in here. And it's interesting because if I just extend them out, look at what we just hit on dominance right here. And then you can see we kind of bubbled up and it tried to break out here, and then it kind of got rejected. So, just something to take a look at on that. But if you zoom out, and what you always want to do, at least what I do, is if the short term, and this is just zooming in on the daily dominance chart, what it looks to me is like a lot of chop, right? A lot of chop. But if you go to your weekly chart, it gives you a much better, bigger term view. And again, for me, I'm seeing like, where is dominance running into resistance? Well, there's a clear area right under here, where if we draw that trend line through, that's your area that it keeps bubbling up against. If we can break through this like 54, 55% level, it looks like it's clear sailing to about 57 or so right up here. So again, just interesting to see that. But one thing I wanted to pivot to is I was just looking at a couple different charts is does it bother you that this is by the way, this is a chart of Bitcoin versus the S&P 500.
Bitcoin's price has entered a period of consolidation following its recent peak of approximately $52,800, as per data from February 19, 2024. Despite this, technical indicators indicate that the leading cryptocurrency continues to maintain an uptrend and could potentially see further upward movement after this period of sideways trading. Shorter time frame charts reveal a growing bullish sentiment, suggesting the possibility of Bitcoin breaking out of its recent tight trading range.
Pivoting over to ETH here, I just wanted to show a chart here that I find fascinating, is that, basically ETH has had this up channel that we've been stuck in since 2022, right? We hit the high, we came down to the low, didn't quite get to the high here, came down to the low, then hit the high here and had that pullback. And then interestingly enough, we did break out above this line here, and then it back tested. You could see two candles here piercing this line, but it held, and we have seen it move up. And so, I think the big question is this money rotation? I mean, Bitcoin obviously is kind of stalled out here. Some alts, by the way, I find it interesting. There are certain alts that are making short-term highs, and then other alts kind of have been left behind a little bit. Like I was looking at a chart of like INJ, which trying to move back up, but it's still off of its highs.
On Monday, Ethereum opened with a price of $2,934 per unit, indicating a strong start with a notable 14.9% increase over the previous fortnight. As the second leading cryptocurrency by market capitalization, Ethereum observed a significant 25.9% upswing at the beginning of the week. The trading volume for Ethereum over the past 24 hours has been around $24.74 billion. However, an unfortunate incident occurred as the fixed-float cryptocurrency exchange was hacked by an unidentified attacker who managed to steal almost $26 million worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum. The exchange has confirmed the attack and is currently investigating the matter while actively addressing any potential vulnerabilities. In the interim, FixedFloat's platform remains closed until further notice.
Speaking of like the economy, I think a couple things stood out in the past week for me. So we saw the CPI and PPI numbers coming out pretty strong, right? They were hotter than expected, and it kind of threw the market for a loop, which, up until about a month ago, we were hearing that, 6 rate cuts, then it was 5. I think it's actually down to 3 to 4 now is what's expected. But I think that was something that stood out to me because then it opens the door to the potential that the Fed won't be able to ease as much as the market wants if inflation is not coming down towards 2%, right? So that's a negative for risk assets. Number 2, retail sales, right? We know the backbone of the U.S. economy is the consumer, and retail sales came in really weak. And one thing I just want to give everyone a heads up on is tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, Walmart and I believe it's Home Depot report earnings. And that will give us some color on, is it just a fluke that retail sales were weaker than expected, or is there something more going on with the consumer in the U.S. economy? And I'm still in the camp where, I still think that the crypto markets are influenced by risk assets, meaning that if the stock market's going up, generally crypto probably trends up because there's more money being created. One chart I just wanted to show you guys here, I think this is a super interesting one, is this is basically the stock market versus GDP, and we have now made a new high in terms of valuations in the stock market versus GDP down here. And it's just, again, these type of charts are important. You're now at such a massive amount. I think it's about a 50 trillion, almost 51 trillion in stock market cap in this country versus GDP, which is much, much lower, obviously. So little things like this start to get my attention in terms of, is the stock market overvalued? Are we at risk of a potential bubble? One of the other charts to show is SMCI. This was an incredible move. I mean, something that was trending on Twitter because it was so insane. By the way, when it started trending on Twitter on Friday morning, that was actually the top. And so just for everyone out there, watch that. I use that as a personal indicator. It's not the only indicator. It doesn't determine if I short or go long, but this fall was insane. 30% from the opening highs basically in one day to the downside. But look at that move. I mean, that was parabolic. It looked like a crypto, it looked like a meme chart to me. It definitely did. So I guess my point is that I'm continuing to watch the stock market and continuing to watch signals like this, just because I do think it influences the crypto markets if we did see a big risk off situation in the stock market.
For more daily dose crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.